Hello, everyone. Time for a little Wisdom Wednesday. Hope you all are doing well. We are circling back and finishing up and landing this plane as far as our discussion for insulin resistance. We've gone through stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 as we progress from normal metabolism to seeing our muscle cells resistant to insulin and our fat cells then becoming resistant to insulin and weight gain that occurs. And now we are seeing the aspect of finally the liver now becoming insulin resistant and frank type 2 diabetes. So over this time period, what we've seen is more and more insulin now is needed in order to push this excessive fuel that continues to be coming into the body, trying to push this fuel into either muscle cells or fat cells or the liver processing it in some way. But finally now blood sugar starts to go up. And blood sugar is exceedingly toxic across the entire body. Sugar easily becomes oxidized, and that oxidation is exceedingly damaging. We see increase in cytokines, and of course we've heard this term cytokines in regards to COVID when we've discussed cytokine storm, which is basically just the body having overwhelming inflammation without being able to stop that locomotive train going down the track. And as we get further and further away from shore, things just get deeper and deeper and it gets much more complex. But basically and simply, the entire body is markedly inflamed and has very little resistance to generally any kind of perturbation, if you will, whether it's an infection or some type of disease. Anything like that is going to have, your body's just going to have much less ability to fight because it's fighting on all other fronts just to keep you going. So why have I spent all this time trying to walk through this progression from normal metabolism through insulin resistance all the way to diabetes? Well, the main reason that I wanted to walk you through all that is that, first of all, you understand it's a continuum and it doesn't just happen one day you wake up and you're a diabetic. And unfortunately, in our world of medicine, oftentimes until you actually meet the criteria, there's very little aspect of care that helps you reverse this. But this is all exceedingly reversible and preventable. And I think that's the point that I'd really like to make, because when we look at the significant price we pay for insulin resistance and diabetes, not just in dollars and cents and healthcare, but in health, I think it's important to capture these findings early on and reverse these things. And they're all, as I said, very reversible. Because what happens is, with all this cytokine storm and all this oxidation of sugar, you see increased cardiovascular tone and hypertension or high blood pressure and increased heart rate and all the damage to organs, and also the overwhelming increased risk for cancer, for Alzheimer's, and obviously for heart disease. And these are the big killers that we have today. And in our country and in our healthcare system, we are absolutely overwhelmed and plagued. And we've seen the results of this also play out when we're exposed to new infections. So I hope this has helped you get some aspect of understanding the dire issues at hand when we are looking at over 80, almost 90% of people having some aspect of this prodrome or early stage, if you will, of this type of disease process. it's overwhelming, and it just doesn't need to be so. So this education is exceedingly important. I hope you all have gleaned a little bit of understanding and gotten something out of this discussion that we've had over the last several weeks. And bottom line is, we just need to lower sugar intake. Sugar is the devil, it's toxic, and there's no good amount that really is healthy in any way. We know that low carb eating, even keto eating, has some benefits. The best diet out there at this point that has been studied in depth appears to be some aspect of the Mediterranean diet, which is not necessarily low fat in any way. We really got off the mark back in the 60s and 70s when we all went low fat and therefore high carb. And so we are definitely paying a huge price for that. But now, as we have learned more and more and get more information, and then each of us can begin to look specifically at our own biology to find what works well from a dietary aspect. But the bottom line is that we really need to be mindful of sugar. And when you go to your doctor and get labs done, these are things that can be measured and ascertained to determine where you might stand as far as this continuum. I think we're all on that continuum, and we could all be diabetics if we didn't really understand and look closely in at a lot of these things that can progress and move into more problematic levels of this continuum. So we've landed this plane to some degree. This will always kind of come back and forth into a lot of our discussions as we move forward in health, because it's just so central to all the things that are happening in our world today as far as health is concerned, especially in light of COVID. And hopefully things are progressing so that we can move back into some sense of normality. If you are getting your vaccines, that's fabulous. And unfortunately, we are working on trying to get the J&J vaccine. We don't have it yet, but our office is working toward that goal. And if you have any concerns or questions about any of these things that we've discussed, please let us know. We look forward to continuing to learn more as we continue with our Wisdom Wednesdays. Hope you all have a great week and a great day. I am heading down to New Orleans this weekend. My youngest son is getting married. We are very excited and I'm looking forward to adding one more girl to the family. So I think we're excited and hope all goes well. And until next week, have a great week.